What should those organisations now do? Should they obey the law, or should they continue to allow men who believe they are women into women's spaces?
You have failed to provide a definition of biological sex.
Haven't.
The Supreme Court has failed to provide a definition.
You don't know what a woman is.
In law, definitions are very important, so we avoid confusion and we ignore injustices and ensure fairness. But let's that pass.
No, let's not let that pass. I know what a woman is.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the discussion, the debate, the meltdown over the recent UK Supreme Court ruling, as you can all see, it just continues. I think it just shows you, our society hasn't experienced common sense in such a long time. Now, for those of you that may not know what I'm on about, the UK Supreme Court actually declared that legally trans women are not women. So now you understand why the meltdown hasn't stopped, because how dare we suggest such a thing in our lovely, stunning, brave, progressive world today? Right? But as I also said, the debate also continues. And in this episode today, we're going to be taking a look at this conversation that took place on Talk TV between Julia Hartley-Brewer and woke activist Peter Tatchell, again, all surrounding the recent Supreme Court ruling. But me even just saying that dude's name, you know where this one is heading. Ladies and gentlemen, what you're about to hear is just absolutely insane, and it is a prime example of left is right, up is down, and common sense. Yeah, it's extremely hard to find. You hear me say it a lot on this channel, to the point where I might even trademark it. But seriously, I mean it. Now, before we all get into this and facepalm together, if you could, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video, comment on this video, share this video, and let's get into it.
We had that Supreme Court judgment, which didn't change the law. It clarified what the law is now, what it is in the future, and what it has been since 2010 and the Equality Act, which established the rights of women to single-sex spaces, single-sex services and the like. An awful lot of bodies, whether it's NHS hospitals, whether it's Girl Guiding over the weekend and others, have basically said, some theatres and things like that, said, well, we're going to carry on, we believe, they say, respecting trans people's rights, and we are going to continue to allow men who identify as if they were women into the women's toilets, and women who believe they identify as men into the men's toilets. Now, that is in breach of the law. Are they right to do so?
Well, first let me say, there are two very important issues here: the rights of women and the rights of trans people. We have to find a way, wherever possible, to reconcile them and to ensure that both are protected. Biological sex is a reality. It's very important. Some women are women based on chromosomal sex, and that's correct. Some women are women based on gender identity. That is different.
What? I don't think these people realize half the time what they come out with. We've just heard this dude say biological sex, biological reality matters, right? And some women are biological from their chromosomes, and then some women are women because of their gender identity. So you've just completely gone against what you just said previously, because no matter how a man identifies, he can never become a woman, and that will never be a part of biological sex or biological reality. These people just come out with some of the most ridiculous things you'll ever hear.
But it's equally valid.
No. The only women are based on biological sex. And then there are men who either mistakenly or claim to believe that they are women. But they're not actually women. They're not women in law, and they're not women in practical reality. They are men.
The Supreme Court did not define what biological sex means. Didn't.
What? So biological, you think that the Supreme Court ruling on biological sex of women includes men who believe they're women?
No, I didn't say that. I said the Supreme Court did not provide a definition of biological sex.
It really did.
No, it didn't. What did it? Tell me what it
was very, very clear about women being defined by their biological sex. And we know what the biological sex of a woman is. We know it's from her chromosomes. We know what a woman is, and we know what a man is.
Well,
so how can you be a woman if you're a man?
Biological sex encompasses a range of different characteristics, primarily chromosomes, but also genitals, reproductive organs, hormones, and
different ones from men.
And secondary sex characteristics. So there's a multiplicity of things that define biological sex. So sadly, the Supreme Court did not give guidance on what it defines.
No, it doesn't need to, because we know what biological sex means, and it means I'm a woman and you're a man, and it's blatantly obvious to everyone you're a man, and it's blatantly obvious to everyone I'm a woman because of our biological differences. So how can you claim some women are women? I hate to tell you, I'm not a subset of women. I'm the only kind. Some women, i.e. all women, are biologically women, and some men who think they are women can wear what they want, live their lives as they want, call themselves what they want, that's fine. But they're not women, and they're specifically not women in law. So what should those organisations do where they have been told explicitly by the Supreme Court that the law is, and has always been, that women are only the people who are allowed into women's single-sex spaces and men are not allowed into them, whatever they call themselves, whatever certificate they've got from the government, and whatever they've had done to themselves or not had done to themselves, whatever they think of themselves. What should those organisations now do? Should they obey the law, or should they continue to allow men who believe they are women into women's spaces?
You have failed to provide a definition of biological sex.
Haven't.
The Supreme Court has failed to provide a definition.
You don't know what a woman is.
In law, definitions are very important, so we avoid confusion and we ignore injustices and ensure fairness. But let's that pass.
No, let's not let that pass. I know what a woman is. Everyone knows what a woman is. Even Keir Starmer apparently miraculously knows what a woman is. Do you genuinely believe that a man with male chromosomes, genuinely, who says, I am a woman, whether they've got a gender recognition certificate or not, that person is a kind of woman?
Well, I have a friend who is intersex.
We're not talking about intersex.
Yes, because you think...
No, we're not talking about intersex.
Sex
that wasn't the question I asked.
Let's just stop there, because I can't do it. Have you seen the mental gymnastics, the stuff these people have to come out with to try and justify why men should be going into women's spaces? The goalpost they try and move, it's actually a talent at this rate. It really is. You know, I'm going to say this, and it's so hard for me to be nice about this, but is society now that stupid? Right, that's the word I'm going to use. That you have to literally spell out what a woman is to them. You have to spell out biological sex to them. Did you go to school? If you are a dude, you can never be a woman. If you are a woman, you can never be a dude. It is that simple. I don't know why it's so hard for these people to just understand that and accept that. I know living in reality is very scary to them, but the quicker you accept it, the quicker everybody can move on from this. And then to also say that Julia and the Supreme Court hasn't given a definition of biological sex is absolutely insane. This is the mind of the woke activists. This is how they think. This is their worldview. And then if you disagree with that, obviously you're some buzzword they like to use, but have no meaning. I don't think anybody really cares about being called a transphobe, a bigot, you know, because they use it so often. But that's how they view people. If you disagree with them, how dare you? The Supreme Court hasn't given a definition of biological sex. They don't need to. I mean, the fact that we needed a Supreme Court ruling in the first place to legally say that trans women aren't women just shows you where we're at. I mean, we all know anyway, men shouldn't be going into women's spaces if it's loos, changing rooms, sports. That shouldn't be happening. That today, in May of 2025, is very controversial to say. But 10, 15 years ago, you'd say that and people would go, everybody would go, yeah, I know, men can't become women. They shouldn't be going into women's spaces. But here we are, our lovely, stunning and brave, progressive society. Leave your thoughts down below, ladies and gentlemen, on what you heard. Did you facepalm? Let me know in the comment section, man. If you have enjoyed, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video. Share this video. But until next time, it has been your host, JD. Have a great day. Stay safe. And I'm out. Peace.